Hi, and thank you for tuning into this very special video. I'm tempted to drag on an intro and build up the anticipation and act like it's a huge surprise who I'm interviewing, but I'm guessing you already saw the thumbnail and the title, so I'm just going to give a warm welcome. I'm so happy to have you on my channel again, Jordan.
Thank you. This was much needed for this time and space that we're in right now. And it felt so aligned to do this video with you, especially.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's been so long since we've sat down on camera together and talked about the issues. And
Mm-hmm.
in the past year, we've both learned so much more than what we knew the last time we spoke about the cult that we left. And their
Yeah,
attacks against us have been enormous, but I feel like
several attacks.
several attacks, yeah.
Mhm.
But I think the danger that people are in now who are still brainwashed and following the fraud who calls himself Nithyananda, and like the hardcore measures they're taking to recruit more people in make it so that we kind of can't stop talking about them. Even if they keep
Mm-hmm.
attacking us, it's important to keep warning others.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's just been a whole bunch of new wave of information, which is even new to me.
Yeah.
Very surprising. Um, I had to hold back tears from some of the stuff that I'm hearing, which involved the children there and everyone that is still there at one point in time where I saw them as family members. So to hear these stories, these horrible things that these children and young adults had to do um, in from the instruction of Poops, and Poops is what we call Nithyananda,
Yeah.
was just heartbreaking. It was so heartbreaking to hear. And to hear what's going on now, that they're getting their visas ready to go fly to wherever he is, like that to me is something that we have to stop, because he's doing all of these acts of abuse to everyone, and it's just very heartbreaking to see all of my friends still there. um so much years is just passing them away, and so much opportunities in life is being closed off to them.
Yeah.
And you could even also say this yourself: after we left the cult, so much life has opened up for us,
True.
and I felt like I tapped into true spirituality after I left.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like I can remember and kind of relate to what the current followers are going through, where they feel like their entire spiritual identity and their entire livelihood is built around Nithyananda Sangha. Like they don't understand that it's possible to meditate outside of holding the vision of that fraud in their inner space or connecting with the deities as per his instruction. But I love how you worded it, that true spirituality really opens up when you leave that cult. It's like you have to drop all the conditioning of how you have to connect and all the dogma that he would
Yeah, there's a
instill.
lot of dogmas over
Yeah.
there. Hmm.
And it's just sad that the people who are living it, they are worked 24/7 with so much stress and so much pressure and so much
Yeah.
unreachable goals that they don't have a moment to stop and think, do I feel better doing these practices than I did before I came here? Or am I fulfilled in my
Mhm.
seeking? Do I really feel that this resonates? And like, do you remember, Jordan, he would tell us that any doubt that we had about him or any doubt we had in the processes was SDHD, self-doubt, self-hatred, and self-denial.
Yeah, self-hatred, self-denial.
So like any
Still
time,
know it.
yes, exactly. We all know that jargon probably forever. But
Yeah.
he would systematically turn off our own personal intuition and our personal divine connections by making us feel like
Hmm.
if we questioned him, we were hating ourselves or we were ruining our lives. And it's kind of amazing that so many of us have been able to get out. Like on the flip
It's a
side,
miracle,
absolutely.
straight up miracle.
Straight up
Yeah.
miracle. The amount of mind control and
If like I told you the other day, if I was a Spanish speaker, if I spoke Spanish, I could be trapped there still
yeah.
because I was called, right? I was called by Maya Natma from Ecuador,
Hmm.
and she asked if I spoke Spanish. If I would have said yes, I spoke Spanish, I would have been on a flight that night to go to where he was at.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people stuck there with
Yeah.
him and just trapped.
True.
They're just trapped.
Yeah, you and me both. Like I got the call from Ranjita and she asked me, how soon can I fly? And at that time, I was a fully surrendered disciple living in the Bididi ashram. So I felt my life
Mm-hmm.
was in their hands. I'm ready to fly that moment if they asked me to. And the one thing that saved me was she asked, how fluent are you in Spanish? Do you only speak it or can you also read and write? And I told her
Oh, wow.
I'm not fluent in speaking or writing Spanish. And then I heard Coops, aka Nithyananda, in the background, and he was arguing with her, saying, no, 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 she speaks Spanish. She did the translation once in the hall for IA participants. And I had to jump in and say, like, no, I did the French translation, but I never did
Mm-hmm.
Spanish translation. And similarly to you, like if I had told them that I spoke Spanish fluently, I would have been on a plane to Ecuador that night. So I feel like, I mean, as much as I don't want to say it's a boon not to speak a second language or a third language, like we got lucky. But
Mm-hmm.
people like Vanessa Pena, who is called,
Yoga Swami.
yeah, people like Rodrigo, I heard he was there in Ecuador. Basically anybody in that cult who spoke Spanish. We haven't seen any social media activity from them in going on 3 years now, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
But it's so nice to see that people are leaving. They're tapping into their inner voice. That is saying all this stuff to them to wake up, and that's something that I had. Even while being there, seeing all the red flags, um, I stopped ignoring that inner compass inside me that was telling me to get out of there.
yeah.
And I had help from from Steven,
Hmm.
and he's the one that single-handedly woke me up out of there.
That's incredible.
And it's just all these divine things that happened to me while I was there, for me to be deprogrammed while a sannyas, while in Kavi. And I had a lot of the deprogramming happen while I was there. And I remember just like looking around, like scared, like, fuck, like I got to get out of here. I
Yeah.
have to get out of here right away with no money. My family didn't want to give it to me because I got myself there. I should be able to get myself out. And they didn't know the measures that I was in.
Yeah.
And Stephen helped me out. I had a handful of people that gave me money to catch a flight out of Gujarat.
Ooh,
I remember my last final week there. I was so scared, thinking I wasn't going to be able to raise the money to get out of there.
yeah.
And not only that, just constantly being blasted, yelled at by the higher ups there.
Yeah.
And within my last month there, I was just getting yelled at every day, and I saw a handful of beatings with my own eyes being done on young adults and children.
Oh my God.
At the same time, Steven is telling me that it's a freaking cult.
Yeah. Wow.
And I didn't necessarily run away because I had approval, but I only told my lead, and I told my lead that I was going. I didn't say goodbye to anyone. I just snuck out of there.
Wow.
Hmm.
So, one thing that's come to our awareness since the last video we made together is that there are so many people currently there brainwashed either in the Gurukul or as Adinavasis or in the Sannyas order, and they're watching our videos secretly because
Mm-hmm.
they want to understand what's going on. And even if they don't believe us, they might have that same inner voice that you referred to saying, get yourself out of there.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, like, if you're watching this now, we love you, we care about you. It doesn't matter if you've spread lies and rumors and terrible defamatory false accusations against us. We are here for you. And we want you to wake up and get out of that cult. And if
Mm-hmm.
Jordan could escape Gujarat with no money, no help from his family, and basically fear that he would be held back, you can get out too. And there is a support system here for you if you want to escape that cult. Um, Jordan, what would you say, for example, to parents or relatives of people who are currently following Nithyananda?
Um, don't ignore your gut instinct, intuition, your heart. Don't ignore that. Your body, your cells, all of your senses are guiding you. You have spiritual guides all around you, including your higher self, that is constantly always there to support you and guide you. And I trust that you, as in the people that are still supporting him and still following him, you are getting these very subtle messages. It could be in your own voice, or it's coming as feelings, heart language, or whatever that is telling you, take a look at what is really going on. Do not turn the blind eye.
Mm.
Sarah and I have turned the blind eye for many years, and it just came to a point in time where the pain was unbearable,
Yeah.
pain of the soul. And I tell you, like, I remember seeing this post a while back, and it was so sad to see. And it was a post that said, "You cannot connect to Hindu deities without having a guru," which is utter nonsense.
Wow.
I mean, like, my devotion and my bhakti to Shiva, to Devi, to any deity that I choose inside Hinduism and without, just connecting to spirit, to divine, has, like, it was like the filter just got lifted from my eyes, and it's like a whole another world opened up. And being able to connect to Shiva in such a pure way without having the brainwashing and all the conditioning, and because Poops has really installed so much toxic brainwashing into our minds, into our souls. And that is something that we are striving very hard to wake people up to with love. um, the fact that everyone there is under a spell,
Yeah.
and people have a hard time to differentiate the good and the bad. Like, the good is like the bait, it's the hook to bring you in, and then once you're in, he does all of the brainwashing to you after you are fully surrendered to him.
Mhm.
And that's the trap.
Yeah, so that was really beautifully said, Jordan. And I think it's so important for people who are still there to understand that when they leave the guru, they're not actually leaving the guru, they're leaving somebody who is a fraudster, who has had them trapped and convinced them that he's the guru. And for me personally, like, the biggest difficulty that I went through after leaving the cult was about 5 or 6 months of terror where I felt like I would be cursed or my life would be destroyed,
Mm-hmm.
because we were fed the line that if you leave him or if you speak against him or if you cherish even just an ill feeling towards him, you're committing a sin called Guru Droha.
Pain.
And now I understand, having consulted with actual pujaris and Vedic scholars, that Guru Droha doesn't count if your guru abused you. And that in fact he has done Chela Droha, like he was the one who was abusing his disciples, abusing the power
Yeah.
and authority. And so, for example, by calling himself a sannyasi and claiming to be celibate and then sexually assaulting us, um, by claiming to be ahimsa and nonviolent and then ordering for people to get beaten. Um, and even lies like telling us that all the milk that was served in the Odinum came from the Goshala, when in reality they were
Mhm.
buying packet milk from big dairy industries. Like,
All of the riches and materialism that he's infatuated with. You know,
ab-
like the Rudraksha dipped in gold, the crowns, the rings. Like he would have a 5 finger ring.
I don't know.
All of these things. You know, I remember Bhavya. He was at the Audinum test driving a Benz. Like he had two Mercedes Benz there, and asked him, why are these here? Like you're in the driver's seat driving this? Those are nice cars. He's like, yeah, I'm test driving it for Swamiji. You know, like he wants a luxury car. He
Yeah,
never bought it. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with these things, but it's like if you claim that you're a sannyas and you are teaching being being like a minimalist and always speaking the truth and living the truth. He didn't do either of those things. He wasn't celibate. He wasn't a minimalist. He was lying straight to our face. He was lying to the world and live satsang over and over and over on
hmm,
repeat.
yeah.
And what's the other one? There's another vow of sannyas. That's three.
There's
Uh,
Aparija,
ahimsa. Ahimsa.
Ahimsa.
Definitely not ahimsa.
No,
Definitely not.
yeah,
Yeah,
there were five. Like
there were five.
the living with a minimal you covered. Asteya,
Satya.
non-stealing. And look at all the land he grabbed in India. Like there are cases we didn't even know about when we were there of him taking over people's inherited land and then sending
Yeah.
teams of people to fight the locals so he could keep
I
that
mean,
cotton land.
I'm going to get right into something very heavy. Would you consider the prostitution being a form of stealing?
Absolutely, yeah,
Sending out these girls to have sex with these businessmen for land?
right. I'm glad you
Because
brought
that's not rightfully his. That land is not rightfully his.
no.
Like, that's one action where he breaks all of the sannyas vows and even beyond that.
Yeah. And
And this news that I heard from you recently, which I'll let you break down. This was something that I literally had to hold back tears, and my heart was crushed when I heard this, which you are about to explain, which you would do like a much better job. But there's been like new stuff that I heard was just absolutely crazy, and you should definitely tell the viewers
yeah,
what you told me.
it's heavy. Like I mean, I teared up every time somebody who was there told me about this. I always kind of wondered, are they trying to feed me um, sensationalist information? So they'll make a video about it and blow it up and then make myself look like an extremist or a liar. Like I've actually heard about this even as far as 2 years ago with um, one of the young girls who had been in Gurukul, who I told you about, Jordan. I didn't tell my viewers about this. But among the Rudra Kanya team, which were the young women in the cult who were described as reviving the Vedagamic arts, like the temple dance, the dressing, the jewelry, the makeup styles, speaking, and music. This
Mm-hmm.
particular team of girls, we all thought of them as being kind of like geishas, like the artists of the.
Chase. Yeah.
So, what came as a huge shock was that among that group there were select individuals, and I'm not going to name any names because as far as I know they're all still in the organization and I don't want to shame them or call them out. Like they're following,
Endanger their life even.
absolutely, they're doing what they think they have to do as a spiritual duty. But they had been sent, trafficked to wealthy businessmen in order to seduce them and perform sexual favors in exchange for land and money donations. So when we talk about like the new information that's come to us since the last video we made, it's like we knew that the fraud who calls himself Nithyananda had lust. We knew that for a fact because he attempted molestation on both of us and he made his intentions clear in private messages and by fondling my chest once or by forcing Jordan's hand where Jordan didn't want to put it while giving him a massage. Like, we already knew that he wasn't celibate, but we did not know that he was literally pimping out his female disciples for his own materialistic gains. And you
And
know
it
what?
even gets worse from that. From
It gets
there, it gets
worse.
worse.
It gets
It's
worse.
like, Sarah, like when I thought it couldn't get any more dark, when I thought it couldn't get worse than what I already know, it did. And this is going to be very new and surprising, heartbreaking for people that are watching this.
Yeah.
And we're telling you this because you have to know the truth.
Yeah.
If like if this is what it takes for you to wake up and come back to your senses, come back to yourself, come back to your soul, and so be it. You know, we have to share this information.
Yeah.
You know, we're holding on to this truth, and it doesn't even feel good for me to just keep it in.
No.
You know, it's like a disservice to those still there, people that are starting to connect to him, new people, and they have reached out to me. So crazy. I had this follower I've never seen before, but it seems like he's been following Poops for a while. He's been a celibate for a long time, like about 10 years. And he's feeling the urge, you know, to be sexual again. And he saw my journey on how I transitioned from being a celibate into like a sexual lifestyle. And he was asking for advice, and he would chime in on what Poops would say about it. And I just told him, I was like, because I got right away that he's a follower of Poops,
Mm.
and he's having all these things happen within his body and in his mind where, you know, he wants to pursue being in a relationship. And he was mentioning quotes from Poops on how, like, once you break your vow of celibacy, it could take a very long time to build your space back up and get into that higher energy. And I was just it's like so far from the truth. And I said to him, I was like, you shouldn't take brahmacharya advice from someone who's not brahmacharya.
That's,
And I said, if you want to know the truth on what is really going on, I'm here to help you. And he started asking questions, and just I let him have it. And I didn't even, like, maybe I should go easy. It's like I'm just tired of getting bombarded by people sharing Swamiji stuff with me, and they're still like deep into this thing, not knowing what's going on. So I just like unloaded like everything that I had, all of this knowledge and stuff, and he blocked me. And there's a new person where I went a little easy, you know, I build up the rapport a little bit, but then I get so impatient because they're just like, I get so, I just get irked by their response. It's like they're not seeing it, and I just let them have it and blocked again.
mm.
And this was a new person, like a few months in, and yeah, it's just sad. And it's like I did that same thing to Drita, where I I just bombard on their belief system and their bhakti to Poops, and they go into this cognitive dissonance
Yeah.
state, and they think I'm just this dark person that uh was a victim to black magic.
Oh, man.
And it's just so crazy. So hopefully this video, I trust this video will spark the light in people to wake up and finally leave this cult.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's more of this information that you just said of the like, where Poops is sending girl devotees to get pimped out.
Yeah.
Um, if you want to carry on about that, there's even more that they need to know.
Absolutely. Um, Part of it is that we knew that he was sexually active with adult members of the organization, but a new piece of information is that he had private message groups in Facebook where he would demand nude photos from underage girls. Um, the parents of one of those underage girls have already been extremely publicly active, pressing charges of kidnapping for the girl who got trafficked, out of India to Nepal and from Nepal to
I
um
mean, and we've both seen the screenshots of these
we've
messages
both
too.
seen screenshots, yeah. And she wasn't the only girl. Like, the fact that her father is really outspoken in the Indian media doesn't mean he's the only father of a kid who this happened to. There are two girls who I know of for a fact who sent nude selfies to Nitty's inbox while they were 16 and 17. But for every two that we know about, I can't even begin to imagine how many more we don't know about. And if it happened to even one girl, that would have been one girl too many. But I have a feeling there are more, like, things that we
Mm,
would see when we were there in his courtyard that were red flags, like Maud Vate taking underage girls and boys up to his bedroom in A10 and then sitting outside and waiting for the kids. Like, no other adult went into the room to supervise what he was doing with
yeah.
those kids. Um, I heard recently from a Gurukul boy who left that he had been raped by Nithyananda.
Oh shit.
I didn't push for details, so this may have happened after he turned 18. But even if he was 18, having grown up in the Gurukul school and been trained from childhood to see Niti as a father figure, an authority figure, a god figure, a guru figure, even if he was of legal age, he wasn't of sound mind. He was still under the undue influence of the cult mind control, telling him anything Nityananda asks you to do, you have to say yes because it's Guru Vak. And if you don't do
And
it,
so Poops is capable of having sex. He doesn't have the testosterone level
no,
that
about
of his 6 year old.
5 year old, yeah, whatever lie they had said, no, he's fully capable of an erection and highly.
I felt very, the term he used to use, cheated. Like I really felt cheated, and I felt so let down when, because I believe that. I actually believe that he's like incapable of having sex.
Yeah,
And then after doing what I did with him, and that whole, clearly he that was a lie,
yeah.
and he's clearly able to be aroused. And after seeing also with my own eyes other sexual stuff happen
Mhm.
in his room with other male disciples, um like I was like, wow, that, like, are you kidding me? Like that crushed me.
Yeah,
It was like beyond hurtful, how someone has the audacity to lie to so many people that love him,
right.
that give up their life, that dump all of their life savings to him. That is that's demonic.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the way that he would slowly break us down to accept what he was doing. Like, in my case, the first time he told me I was an incarnation of Devi was back in 2009, in the very first inner awakening program I took. And then between 2009 and 2016, when my sexual abuse took place, throughout all those years in between, my faith and my devotion in him grew because I always felt if he really was a rapist, like Arti Rao claims, if he really was sleeping with people the way, the media claims, he would have tried something with me by now. So, like, from
Mm,
2009 to 2016, I also believed he was fully innocent, incapable of an erection, disinterested by sex, like evolved beyond gender. Um, so it really blindsided me when all of a sudden, like, the very first time he hinted at something sexual was after I ran away from the Kumbh Mela in Ujjain and I came back to Canada.
wow.
He sent me an
Yeah.
inbox message in Facebook saying, "You will see me in your bed physically."
Oh
Like,
shit.
that night I slept on the floor next to my bed because I thought, well, he's a sannyasi, so I guess that means he's going to land to give me a blessing.
Oh my
So I
God.
better not like be in the bed. I was that brainwashed. Like people,
You slept on the floor in your own room. Didn't even
yeah,
sleep on your bed.
no, I put the
Yeah.
Atma Murti, like the big cardboard cutout of him, I put
Oh
that
God.
propped up on like both of the pillows and I slept on the ground next to it. And like when people accuse us of being, you know, criminally involved or co-conspirators with him, saying that like we recruited people into the cult or that we were doing his dirty work, I think
Mhm.
what they don't understand is that we're also his victims. It's not like we were all for him and wanted to build up his evil empire and then one day decided to move on with our
Mhm.
lives. It's that we were 100% devoted, gave our life
Mhm. Oh yeah.
savings. Yeah, I sold a business
Mhm.
and spent the entire.
I mean, I came back to California
Mhm.
after leaving Gujarat with $0 to my name. I had nothing.
Yeah.
I had absolutely nothing. Like I had to restart my whole entire life. I had
Wow.
no phone, no car, no bank account. I didn't have my social security card. I had to get my birth certificate back. I had no driver's license.
Wow.
Yeah,
But you made it.
it was, I made it. And this is the thing. It's like people, if you're afraid to leave and you think that your life is going to be shit,
Mhm.
it's far from the truth.
Yeah.
It's far from the truth. There's so much sacredness waiting for you to embrace it that you cannot see because you're blinded by Poops's brainwashing that's just waiting for you. It's
Mhm.
just like waiting for you. And you're doing very well. I'm doing very well. There's others that we know of that left the cult that are doing very well. They're
Yeah.
healthy, they're mentally healthy, they're stable, you know, they're deprogrammed, they're healing.
Mhm.
So people that are afraid that their life is going to be shit or their family will disown them, you know, that might be the truth. Your family may disown you, but it's like you have to get out of there for your safety and for your spiritual evolution, for your well-being as a whole.
Absolutely. Like when Jordan says for your safety, one of my biggest concerns is that Nithyananda has already told us a story that who knows whether this was actually a true story or not, but he told us a story that the Rudra Kanyas in a temple to Sadashiva were sitting around their murti one day when anti-Hindu elements came in and started insulting Shiva. And he told us on stage in a live satsang, this was back in 2018, he told us that the Rudra Kanyas couldn't stand to listen to anyone insult Shiva. So they threw themselves off the highest temple tower to their deaths because it was better to drop their bodies and join Shiva in Kailasa than to
Mm-hmm.
sit there and listen to somebody insult him. He then took such a dark turn
I
like that.
remember that.
That for me was one of the biggest red flags because up until that moment, he would sometimes talk about how he's not a doomsday cult leader. He's not saying suicide is good. He would kind of like shit talk stuff like the Branch Davidians who had the shootout in Waco, Texas. He didn't give them as an example, but he would say there are cult leaders who force their disciples to commit suicide, but suicide is like a conscious death. You can't reincarnate until the Janma passes. Like he was always anti-suicide. But in that one discourse, he said, if you drop your body consciously in praise of Sadashiva, you won't die. It's not suicide. You'll just automatically pop up in a new form in Kailasa. So, what exactly is going to happen when people fly to this place called Kailasa? It could be a private island he owns. It could be a parcel of land that he's procured from some criminals in South America. Whatever it is, look at the history that's happened when a cult relocates to South America. When Jonestown happened, Jim Jones told all of his disciples, we're not able to live the lifestyle of our choosing connected with our God in the rest of the world, like in the world. We have to go
Mm-hmm.
somewhere where we make our laws, where we grow our own food, where we're off the grid. If you listen to
Mm-hmm.
what Nithyananda says about Kailasa, and you listen to the sales pitch Jim Jones gave for Jonestown before everyone up and moved there, it's identical. And when
Mm-hmm.
he has already told people, if you kill yourself for Shiva, it's not really a suicide, you just pop up in a new birth in Kailash. He is preparing people already. He's planting the seeds to tell them
Yeah.
killing yourself for him is not a suicide, it's a rebirth. And that is
Yeah.
very, very frightening, because one report that I heard from a friend who very recently got out is that there was a situation in Ecuador where there was a power outage. And it was just a typical power outage. But Nitti got so scared, he started having a panic attack. He was shaking. He was saying, "They're coming after me. They're coming after me." He didn't say who they are, but we can guess, like the police or Interpol or a human trafficking organization to free his disciples. But instead of being concerned for the people around him, he made them form a human barricade around him, form a circle around him.
And
So
this
that,
is Shiva.
yeah, this is the man who
This is
claims he's
Shiva.
Shiva, and he's so freaking scared of the light
Incarnation of
going out.
Shiva.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So people who dedicated their entire life to serving him, he sees them as a human shield. He's
But
not
his third eye isn't awakened. He can't tell that the power outage is just a typical power outage. He can't
right.
see with his third eye that there's no one there.
Right. Why would you be afraid of police coming after you if you're not a criminal? And
Yeah, it's a big red flag.
he used to tell us a
It's a clear
story.
sign that he's doing something wrong if he's afraid. If he's
Yeah,
not doing anything wrong, he wouldn't be afraid that there's anyone coming after him.
exactly. And like Jordan, you said, like, and this is the one who calls himself Shiva. Do you remember he used to tell us a story that he was in a cave somewhere on his Parivrajaka that's also
Hmm.
probably made up, where he said that he sat in a cave so deep into the Himalayas that no light could penetrate where he was. And after like so much time, he could see in the dark. Like, if
I
that's,
doubt he did that because if he's afraid of like a like the cops coming after him, he would be afraid to go into a deep dark cave.
yes. Well, and if he could see in the dark, he would have been able to see so clearly that there's nobody coming after him. He would have seen that
Exactly.
it's just,
Mhm.
the hotel or the bungalow that they were in. So like,
Another thing that I wanted to bring up when I mentioned leave for your safety, uh, we all know what happened to Ishwar Priya, how he died in that car accident, and the beatings that go on. You know, it could happen to anyone that's still there. You can get pimped out. I know. I believe that there's been males that have been pimped out for land or for money. Girls, the beatings, getting raped. Um, so the Kantamala, if a devotee died in a car accident, then how does a Kantamala hold up to its value that Poop says that it will protect you from even death?
yeah,
And how come Poops didn't mention in a live satsang, didn't do a what's it called, a Maheshwara Puja for Ishwara Priya, that he passed away?
yeah.
But yet he did a Maheshwara Puja for a well-known, world-renowned pedophile, uh, Prince Philip, who is the real anti-Hindu element.
Well, Nithyananda, he used to say the British royals are anti-Hindus. I remember there was
For
an
sure they are.
yeah. There I mean, look at the history of like when Queen Victoria went to India, caused false famines and did all kinds of shit to the people who were there, tried to destroy Hinduism, pillaged diamonds out of temples.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely the
The
British.
jewel on the queen's crown came from India, I think, India or Africa. But they're anti-indigenous. They're anti anything that's indigenous. They don't like, and
Absolutely,
that includes India.
they try to conquer. They wanted to own those people.
Yep.
And for sure there's like the Hope Diamond, you know, that mythically cursed blue diamond. I think it's in the Smithsonian right now, that was taken out of the eye of one of the Hindu goddesses in the Hindu temple. And there was a myth behind it that anybody who stole and wore that diamond would be cursed. And like history speaks for itself. There are stories of people spontaneously dying, all of their family getting killed in accidents because they wore that
Dang.
diamond. And it was the people who stole that
That's
diamond.
crazy.
But yeah, like
That's crazy.
Nitty would tell us, not only privately, individually to us, but like in satsang, live to the world, he would say he will never set foot in England as long as the monarchy are in power because they are anti-Hindus. And yet when Prince Philip dies, suddenly he's sending his condolences.
Praised them.
He's acting like he cares so much. He does a Maheshwara Puja, which is an elaborate ritual ceremony supposedly to free his soul and grant him posthumous enlightenment.
Just because he eats food, he liberates souls.
Yeah, in that ritual.
He doesn't have the power to liberate souls.
Of course not. If he did, he wouldn't be so scared of Interpol catching him that he needs people to form a human chain around him. He could
It's
just
ridiculous.
consciously drop his body and be liberated. But what Jordan was saying, like Ishwara Priya died in a car accident and there wasn't one word. Both of this man's parents were close devotees of Nithyananda. His mother ran the organic garden in the Audinum. She was one of the sweetest people I've ever met. I cried
Yeah, she's
for
very sweet.
days just thinking of what she was going through when her son died. And what's crazy is like Jordan, how you were saying
And
people.
then his daughter too, right? He has
Oh,
a daughter.
yeah, that's right. And
Oh,
yeah, his wife, his dad, like all of those people in their state of grief when he died, the guru who gave him the instruction to drive that journey to Nepal in the dead of the night at top speed, the guru who I would say, whether it was a killing or whether it was an accident, either way, the fraud who calls himself Nithyananda was responsible for Ishwara Priya's death because he would not have been driving on that road, stressed out,
mm.
sleep deprived, late at night, if he hadn't been instructed to. And Nithyananda didn't issue an apology to his family, didn't issue condolences, didn't do a Maheshwara puja, didn't do shit. And like,
He doesn't care about you.
no,
He's only using you as a tool to get more followers, to get more money. That's why he was after me when I told him that I'm not coming back. He was pressing me for months onwards, trying anything he can to get me back
yeah,
because I'm a tool for him. He can't protect any of you, and he doesn't care about any of you guys.
no. And like, in one interview I did with Federico, he told me that Nitti had once told all of you guys that he was studying a science where you could kill people through black magic and that he's tried it and it works. I
Yeah,
heard
it was. I
Federico
was there,
there.
and
Wow.
he said that to new people. What was the program? Sadashivatwa,
Yeah.
where new people would come to do a program and decide to live there. He said it to new people
How did they
that
react?
just learned about him. It was just quiet. It was dark. You know how when there's live satsang, the lights would go off and we would just be tuned in to poops. And he said that, and he held up the book. It was like a Kali scripture, and he said, we've already tested it. He had like a balasant do it. So we had, which I don't even think it's true. I think he's just saying this.
Yeah.
He's just saying this out of his ass, just to, he thought that was a good thing to persuade people to stay
To stay.
and continue to support him. The fact that he killed someone from black magic.
Yeah.
He thought that was a good thing to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was there. That was like the last final months I was there,
Mm.
and he heard that. I mean, I heard that.
Yeah.
Federico heard that, and I think that was kind of like his tipping point.
Yeah. That's
Mm-hmm.
how it sounded when I spoke with Federico, that hearing somebody who he thought of as a spiritual leader gloat and laugh about killing people was for him the sign that he's following the wrong leader. And
Yeah.
then there are people like Drida and Prasida and Parantapa and Nirajananda who are continuing to follow the fraud who calls himself Nithyananda. It's like, okay, guys, if you're watching this video, do you really think Jordan and I would still be talking about this after all the lies you spread? That, like, do you honestly think we would be putting ourselves out here again to get attacked by your ridicule and your false accusations if we didn't actually care about your well-being, if we didn't actually want you to wake up and get out of that cult? Because I was ready to drop it, to be totally honest. Like, I
Me
was ready.
too. I'm ready
Yeah,
to move on.
we were both ready.
I did move on.
Me too. Me too. I moved on with my life. I was living my best, like making my jewelry, talking about crystals. I'm going to keep doing that because I love that stuff. But I was ready to say, you know what? I've said everything I have to say and I'm done. And then some young people reached out to me and said, you know, Sarah, like the beatings on December 31st, that's not the worst of it. Listen to these other beatings that we endured. I've had kids write to me telling me about times Rishi Advait beat them, about a boy from Malaysia who got the shit kicked out of him by Rishi Advait when he was only 16, and Rishi Advait was a full.
God, God, I would love to give that guy a pounding.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean,
sorry, but
don't follow the violence because then we turn into them, like
like,
that cult.
like something I want to say. It's like that post from Maya Natma calling me a drug smuggler
Right.
and someone that is trying to initiate a devotee into tantra.
Yes.
Um, Getting into the screenshots that she shared on her page
Mhm.
of me allegedly reaching out to a devotee on Facebook Messenger, talking like an Indian speaking English.
Yeah.
And I spoke to a handful of people who are out now and deprogrammed. And these people that I spoke to, um, one of them have also done, a male, straight male, also done sexual stuff, even more than I did, with poops. And he said when he first, and his mom, when they both saw that, they're like, this is not Data. This is no way. He doesn't talk like this.
Yeah.
And he knew me very well. Like he knew me very well. I was like, there's no way like he speaks like this. It was like a someone that is Indian
Yeah.
wrote that
Yeah.
and did the best they could. And also about the drug smuggler thing, how come they didn't post their sources or their proof?
Yeah.
The fact that I'm a drug smuggler. It's
Exactly.
like, where did they hear that from? Like, what are their sources?
Well, and they claimed that there was an international investigation being conducted. If there actually was an international investigation being conducted,
How
they
can you
would
even prove that?
they wouldn't leak it on Facebook. They wouldn't tip people off that, hey, you're being investigated. They'd keep it under wraps and secretly have somebody do the
You know
investigation.
what's sad? I heard from someone who used to be in the WhatsApp group chat with everyone from San Jose.
Yeah.
Yo, they all bought that. Balaji, Vinesh, Ma Brahm, like Mavish, all of them, Sanjay, they all think that. They believe that.
They believe that
In the
you,
depth of their being,
as
they
she,
believe that I'm a drug dealer.
and not only
They
you, but
believe they believe this. Like
gee,
if I was to go inside the Milpitas temple, but hey everyone, first of all, they probably call it cops.
yeah,
But they would look at me like, oh, this was a drug dealer.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
absurd.
And they
That's so
believe
crazy.
trying to get sex from that one devotee in LA when uh, all you were doing was warning her that the fraud was sexually abusive. And then they took screenshots of that chat you had with her and photoshopped over
Mm-hmm.
it,
Yeah.
all kinds of BS. And like you said, it was in a Tamilian slang. Like, I don't remember the exact words, but I also read that and immediately said, this is not
You
Jordan.
sound like an Indian person. Yeah.
It wasn't like, even to the point of the grammar and punctuation. Like when you text me,
Exactly. Yeah.
you start your sentences with a capital letter, you end them with punctuation, but this was typed out in the Indian style shorthand, like the letter U instead of YOU. It was completely not your style of communication. And what's sad is that when they do these lies and these smears against us, they don't even do them well. They do them in such a shoddy,
Mm,
obviously fake way. It's even sadder to consider the fact that people we used to think were friends believe it. Like Ma Shivarupa, who used to be Anupama Deshpande. I sent her a private message right before I went public about the Gurukul beatings. And I told her the names of the two kids who had confided in me and cried and talked about getting beaten. And I said, like, I asked the little girl if Ma Shambhava was there. And I asked the boy if Adi was there, Mahadeva Maharaj. And they said yes.
mm.
So I told her, like, Anupama, you should know your kids got beaten in that school. And in return, she said, I don't ever want to hear from you again. You molested some
Oh my
Shura,
God.
you slapped people. She believed the bullshit that they were spreading.
It's so crazy.
It's
I,
so,
I I don't know how they believe this.
no,
I know Drita doesn't believe it, but you
no.
know what he told me? I told him everything. What happened to me in Poops in his room, about the drug smuggling thing, about the whole thing that I was trying to sexually get after someone, and he said this happened to you and your guru. Didn't happen between me and my guru. Like we had a different guru.
Right.
Like
And
I had another guru and you had another guru, and they weren't the same person.
yeah,
It's like a metaphor that I could use is, how would you feel if your city mayor did did something like this to a citizen? Would you vote that mayor in? It didn't happen to you. It happened to someone else.
yeah, yeah. Look at Harvey Weinstein with the casting couch issue. You don't hear all the actors in Hollywood saying to all the actresses that happened between you and your producer and continue.
Adil also said that to me. Oh
Really?
well, it didn't. It's not my experience, so it doesn't matter.
Wow.
Happened to you. Oh well, not my problem.
See,
It doesn't affect me. He doesn't think it'll affect him, and is affecting him. They don't see how it's affecting them.
no. It's like they're going to wait until it does happen to them. And by then it'll be too late because they'll be in Kailasa with their passports and their cell phones confiscated, no way to leave, no way to contact home for help, trapped with him. Like, my fear is
It's
that
just so
that's
sad they don't see how they're living a lie. Like they're supporting someone who's a fraudster, lying to them, and doesn't care about them,
right.
doesn't think about them
Yeah.
at any time of the day. Just thinks about himself, on how he can get himself out of Interpol, how he's only left India to escape rape cases,
Yeah.
warrants out for his arrest, trying to get asylum in a country so he could somehow escape all of those rape cases.
Yeah.
That's all he's caring about. He's only using everyone as a tool.
Yeah.
I don't know how they don't see that.
Claire from Calgary. I
It's
honestly,
sad.
I believed she was out. Like, I just kind of assumed that any Western follower of Nitty who I'm not personally in contact with, I just assume they woke up and left after everything that's been revealed lately. But that guy Loco Guano who made parody videos of us and other Nitty disciples?
Yeah, yeah.
He did a video recently about Claire, and she's calling herself Causing Claire, and she's going on TikTok talking about how she's going to cause people's reality. And the video, like, I don't have TikTok or use it. Like, I'm not interested in that kind of stuff. But Loco Guano, like, put together this video of snippets of her videos. And in one of them, she said, okay, like, I'll answer your questions. I have a question here. Somebody is asking, is it true that your guru bought a private island called Kailasa? And then she laughed and laughed and said, that's not true. And, like, I knew
But
Claire.
isn't that the story that Poops is even talking about? That
Yes, it is.
he told me, like he told everyone, like I saw him live say, we have land, we have our own airport, uh, everyone is going to arrive here soon. Start to imagine the best life possible here with me on this island.
On Jonestown Island. Yeah. No, he even sent me an inbox message in Facebook saying, "Ma, like good news. Um, we have UN on our side. Like we have a self-sovereignty for our land."
Which is a lie. We can
It-
get into that too on who we heard from insiders that were there in Ecuador
yeah,
and told us exactly what happened with the UN case.
right. But yeah, Claire, she's denying it. And she said that it's not true that he bought an island. And does she know where he is? She says, "No, I don't know where he is because I don't need to know where he is because his life is in danger. Somebody tried to assassinate him, so he had to leave India." And it's like, these people actually believe that somebody tried to assassinate Nithyananda. Nobody tried to assassinate him. He raped people and then he fled because he doesn't want to appear in court because he knows he's guilty. His life isn't in danger. His life is at risk of going to prison because he is a criminal. They just won't get that. And like there was even somebody arguing with me in the comments under one of Loco Guano's videos saying, "I made the mistake of leaving Satya Sai Baba when he was in body and I had the chance, but now I'm not going to make that same mistake with Nithyananda." And it's like
He
these
did similar stuff as Poops too, I heard,
yeah, I've heard that too. And it's like,
doing sexual stuff with his disciples.
yeah, no matter what, no matter what, if you're following a guru who does not care about you, who wants to exploit you for money, for sex, for favors, for asylum to avoid a legal case, if he wants you to move to Kailasa and be a 24/7 slave in his work camps the way we've all been in Bidity, it is not enriching your life. It is not making you more spiritual. He talks about freeing yourself from the so-called Maya matrix, from like the government's controlling you. The worst day that I've lived in Canada under the Canadian government is better than the best day I spent in the Bididi ashram being controlled by Nithyananda. Like the freedom we actually have, for all the flaws that may exist in Canada, in the States, or wherever, I would rather live under the authority of a government than under the authority of a narcissistic psychopath who doesn't mind potentially making me kill myself to avoid hearing insults against him. Like, there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing that he as a guru can give you that you can't give yourself.
One thing that made me really angry while I was still brainwashed in the cult was he was already he fled. He was already gone, and he said that um, he said this only to the sannyasis that were there with him when the scandal came out with Arti Rao. He blamed them. It is their fault that he is still in this mess. And I was very angry because how is that responsibility? Like
Right.
he's not taking ownership for what he is dealing with. And there's so much wrong in that statement. It was like, didn't you cause that reality for yourself to happen?
Right.
And how can you put blame on your sannyasis that devoted their whole entire life for you, and you make them feel like shit, saying that it's their fault that you went to prison, and now that you had to go to Ecuador, flee India to escape court cases? He blamed it all on the old devotees that were there from 2009.
My God.
There's no responsibility. Like any leader takes ownership and responsibility for everything that is happening in their group, organization, business. It falls on them. Like a real leader, a real CEO, a real guru would take ownership on that and bear the weight and not make their employees, disciples, anyone that's below them feel that way and have that burden in their heart.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
At that time, I was very angry.
yeah. I'm so glad you used the word responsibility because he preaches AIRE, authenticity, integrity, responsibility, and enriching. And he claims his whole Sangha is structured on those four tattvas, those four core principles. And he tells us again and again in discourses, You are responsible for everything that happens in you and around you. You're responsible
You're
for,
the source of everything happening
yes,
in and around you.
you are the source of everything happening in and around
Is
you. And
this ringing any bells in people? Like, are people getting
he,
the wake up call? Like,
he
it's
can't be responsible for his own ass getting sent to prison. He can't take responsibility for the fact that there are court cases taken out against him. Like, he can't take responsibility for anything that happens in him or around him. He,
he
like,
blames it on something external. He blames it on anti-Hindu elements, and
yep,
he even blames his most prestigious sannyasis that have been with them for 10 plus years. Blames
exactly.
it on Achala, blamed it on like all these. I'm forgetting their names. But all these old school devotees, he blamed it on them.
Wow. And like, he calls us anti-Hindu elements. Look at the rudrakshas that Jordan's wearing. Look at, like, I've got Lakshmi on my ear as a symbol of the fact, well, and around my
You
neck.
should see my room. I have a shrine.
Yeah.
I have a shrine with like all of the main deities in there.
Maybe in our next video. Let's see.
Uh-huh.
I can show mine
Yeah.
too. And like, every time I Skype with you or Zoom with you, I mean, there's the Durga behind you. Like, you still have that up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They call us anti-Hindu elements because that's the only way he can rationalize to them or explain why we're saying these things about him, because he won't just take the responsibility. Like, I would have
But
been,
who's a real anti element here?
I'm sorry?
It's not us.
No.
I'm asking who is the real anti-Hindu element here?
Right.
Tim.
It's him. Absolutely, it's him. Every Hindu person I've spoken to since leaving his cult has said, I'm so sorry this happened to you. He is making a mockery of my religion. He is not a representative of my country. Like, Indians are
Mm,
ashamed of him. Hindus are so, so ashamed of him. And it's like they want the world to know what Nithyananda does to people is not Hinduism. It's not according to the Vedic scriptures. It's not according to the
very dark.
temple protocol. He has basically Hindu washed Scientology. Like, he has taken,
Dianetics. You should explain how the Dianetics book was in LA Temple and he recommended the early people that were there in his mission to read it.
yeah, like he
Scientology, Dianetics of Scientology.
absolutely, he created a pyramid scheme, or like an MLM, akin to the Scientology model, where the first program that gets somebody in off the street is free. Like, come for a free healing, come for a free puja, come for some prasadam, we'll feed you. Once the person's in the door, they sell them like $100 weekend program. That weekend program, it's not designed to contribute something positive to somebody's life. It's designed to market to them the next level program, which could be like a $5,000 yoga teacher training, and then it's the $10,000 inner awakening, and
Inner
then
awakening.
the $15,000 December program. And guess what? The end of the line,
150,000 Sarvanya Pita.
150,000 Sarvanya Pita, $900,000 gold fake chain necklace, $1 million karta, get your statue in his temple. Like, he will ask for more
Yeah.
and more and more and more. And if you think
Upsell.
that one day he'll be happy because the temple will be built, it's never going to be built. He'll always want more. He has, like, if you remember the Hindu story, the scripture that describes that demon who, every time a drop of blood is shed, it turns into like 10 more demons. So Mahakali has to stick out her tongue and lap up that blood before it like overtakes the world. That demon who keeps replicating, that's Nithyananda's ego. That's his greed. That's his lust. That's his power drive. He won't rest until he has billions of dollars and thousands of disciples and
He'll
every
never rest.
lusting after him. No. And he'll never let you rest
You know
either.
that
Follow him.
there's a scripture, this Devi scripture in Tupada Rahasyam, where she explained that there was this demon that fooled everyone into thinking that he was Shiva.
Oh, does that sound familiar? Wow.
And I read that scripture again when I left the cult, and I was like, oh my God, that is Poops. He fooled everyone into thinking he is actually Shiva.
All his disciples. Yeah.
So it's so crazy. Like what Poops is has been done before in the ancient times,
Wow.
and it still continues to happen.
Yeah.
Like there's so many other gurus that think that have claimed that they're a incarnation or an avatar,
Hmm.
and it turned out that they're frauds.
Yeah.
It just happened throughout history. But
Absolutely.
Poops almost was very successful in hijacking Hinduism. He
Yeah.
had his seat in Madurai. He had his seat in
Mahanirvana
what
Akada.
was the one? Yeah.
Mahanirvana Akada.
Hmm.
He had
So
Narendra
he was almost successful.
on stage with him saying he's the reviver or he's spreading Hinduism in the West and he's the head of the Akada Parishad. So like the whole North Indian Shaivite Sampradayas were like under the umbrella of Narendra Giriji. I have a huge
Yeah,
respect
yeah.
for him too. Like I feel he got bamboozled just like the rest of us. And
Hmm.
you know, when um the 292nd Mahasanidanam was,
Guru Mahasanidanam.
yeah, when he kind of realized that Niti was fake, he stripped him of the title of Guru Mahasanidanam. And that's why Poops had such a grasp where he couldn't let go of Madurai. It's like his ego got hit that he was denied this thing that he tried to swindle out of somebody. So now he has to assert his power. He claimed that he had a temple in Madurai. It was what, like a dry cleaning store that he like called a temple? I forget.
It was like a old strip mall or something. Old mall,
An old
I
mall.
think.
Yeah,
And horrible things happened there too.
I heard.
Early on when I first left India, I heard about all the horrible things that were being done there of a sannyasi getting beat. No, he was a balasan. He got jumped.
Yeah.
He got jumped and he was in the hospital for 2 or 3 days.
That's,
Instruction by Swamiji, by Poops, they said.
I
There was
heard
instruction to beat him.
I heard that too. And like these are things that we heard, was it last year or like a year and a half ago when last we did a video like this? But
Oh, it was a while back,
yeah,
year and a half ago.
year and a half ago.
Yeah.
But these things are still happening and that's what's really frightening is that how many more kids have to get beaten before those who are currently following Nithyananda will finally say, you know what, enough is enough. And like the sad thing is the people getting the shit kicked out of them, getting hospitalized with injuries, getting prostituted out for land and for money. These are not people who have done something to personally hurt Nithyananda. These are people who have devotionally surrendered their lives to him. And that's how he treats them. Like, he is so abusive. He is treating people who he should be protecting. He's abusing them, treating them like shit. That's so,
Yeah.
it's so sad. And like Maud
Yeah.
Vate, did you hear Maud Vate moved to Los Angeles and she's opening a Gurukul there? So like
Oh, wow.
parents of
I didn't
American
I
kids,
didn't know this.
yeah. I
Oh my God.
I heard from somebody in LA. So
Oh shit.
it sucks. And like I also heard that the parents of the two, I almost named the kids. I'm like censoring myself so I don't give the names of the kids who told me they were beaten. um I heard that they got yelled at like all night and all day when I went public because even though I've deliberately avoided
Ooh.
saying their names in the video because I didn't want them to suffer or to get punished for talking to me, the cult was able to figure out who they were and they did
Oh no.
for it. Yeah. The parents of those kids I heard also moved to LA Temple. And it's like, how can, like, my message to the parents of Gurukul kids, when I first said that the kids got beaten on December 31st, I sent private messages to a bunch of you and said, if you want to know who the kids are who spoke to me, I will tell you so that you know I'm not making this up. So the parents of the two kids who spoke to me, I told them it was your son to one, it was your daughter to the other. Every single parent I reached out to except for one. There was only one parent who replied back to me and said, thank you so much for telling me. I will never go back. My two sons are out with me now.
Mm,
We will stay out. That one lady was the
that's
only
good.
parent who took action. To all the other parents, you told me that I'm a liar, that you didn't believe me. Well, now that Kalpalata has spoken out publicly, not even having heard my video, Kalpalata Janardan has said on the morning of December 31st, we were forced
Mm,
to beat each other. We all got beat. Do you
I
believe
saw
me?
that video.
Yeah, me too.
She even called out the Balasans,
Yep,
those kids that are saying, come on, it's true,
yep,
can't deny it.
yep. And those
And
poor,
still they're denying it.
they have to deny it. If they don't, they'll get beaten
Their
again.
whole,
Like,
it's like, it goes so deep. The brainwashing goes so deep, and they've invested so much of their life and energy into him. And they can't face the truth because their whole entire identity would just fall.
yeah,
And I went through that. Like it's so painful, but on the other side, it's like that saying, you gotta break down to break through.
yeah. Okay, so Jordan is now indoors. We're going to wrap up this video because the Zoom connection kept failing. But there was one other really disturbing development that came to our attention. And, I've heard about this from 3 different other survivors who fled the Nithyananda cult. And it wasn't until I heard it from like the fourth person that I realized this is true. It's not being exaggerated. And that's that after Jordan and I left, the fraud who calls himself Nithyananda, I don't even like
So this
talking.
was so this happened soon after we left, right?
Yeah, soon
Like
after we
like
left.
this could have been us that would have likely been involved in this.
Yeah, man, I've never thought of it from that angle before, but you're right. We could have been involved in it if
Very
we
likely.
um they were forced, like with Jordan and I, the sexual abuse we survived was Nithyananda himself going after us sexually. But after he fled India, the way he would continue his sexual predation was by instructing the girls to engage in like group sexual acts with each other and the boys to engage in sex with each other on camera. And what's
It
really
was filmed
devastating,
secretly.
secretly, like there was the way it was described to me by 2 of my informants was that it was like an orgy, and they were told they've built up lust or incompletions related to sex because of their brahmacharyam, and that they had to work it out, and that they
Oh my
were
God.
instructed to do that with each other. What they didn't know is that it was secretly being filmed. And afterwards, they were told if they leave and if they go public and speak out the way some of us have come out and spoken out, that the film will be leaked to the Indian media, just like Ranjita and Nithyananda's video was leaked, or that it will be shown to their family. And that as a result of that, they will have no future in the Sangha or in the world. That nobody will want to marry them because they've done this, and it's such a huge taboo in India.
Oh my
That their
God.
families will disown them because their families won't approve of it. But what
Gosh.
what Jordan and I have realized, what we've come to the conclusion about, is that none of that collateral that they're holding against you will ever be leaked. The Nithyananda cult will never show your families photos of you nude or videos of you sexually active with a member of the same sex. They will never show Rudra Kanyas having group sex. They will never show Rudras having group sex. They will never leak any of that. Because if somebody in the cult shows the Indian media a video of you having sex with somebody, that video does not make you look like a bad guy. It shows that you are a victim. And that would be the proof that Nithyananda is running a sex cult. And like, I've watched a ton of documentaries about other cults over the last couple of years. It's been, I don't know whether it's like misery loves company and I enjoy relating to the experiences these other cult survivors have gone through. In a way, it's comforting to know we're not the only ones. But one thing I gathered, especially about the cult called Nexium run by Keith Raniere, is that all of the ladies who were in the sex cult called DOS were forced to give collateral to their masters. And ultimately, Keith Raniere was the top master. So similarly to the way the Rudrakanyas would have to give nude photos to Ma Pranapriya and Ranjita, but those are getting passed on to Nithyananda. In DOS, they'd have to give them to like Alison Mack, and she'd give them to Keith Raniere. That collateral was held over people like Sarah Edmondson, where she made up some atrocious lies about her husband and about her parents, about her family, and filmed it. And they told her if she ever leaves Nexium or if she ever goes public about her branding, that they would show her family what she said about them, or they would show people her nude photos that were taken. What I want to make really abundantly clear, the reason Jordan and I are putting our necks out on the line and talking about this, even though we know that that opens the door for the cult to retaliate against us again and to shit talk us again, the reason we're saying
I
this,
don't know how much more they can do to us, though. It always hurts them in
yeah,
the end.
well, it proves that they're a cult. Like, when I said
Yeah.
the kids got beaten on December 31st, they said that I beat Priyamaya or that I molested Sundareshwara. They never addressed the issue of child abuse in the Gurukul. They just tried to divert people's attention
They
towards like,
cause their own downfall.
they're causing their own downfall, absolutely. But the reason Jordan and I felt it's important to talk about this is that by saying this publicly, that the cult of Nithyananda has collected sexual collateral against some of its members to keep those members from leaving and speaking out, by nature of the fact that we are saying this, they can never leak that, because if they do, that proves what we're saying. It proves
Isn't it illegal for them to do that? Like it's revenge sex or something like that, which is
revenge.
illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. There's anti-bullying laws, there's anti-revenge porn laws, there's like you can't film somebody nude without their consent. That's illegal. A person in power can't give the instruction to other people to have sex because that's the abuse of power.
Yeah.
Like Nityananda,
So anything that he is doing is just going to come right back to him and is just going to hurt him even more.
yeah.
Like how he spoke out about us, how he sent Luke after you and spread all those lies about you. It just hurts him in the end. So if he even thinks about blackmailing those kids with the video content, it's just going to hurt him severely.
Yeah. And like, he never learns his lesson. That's the other thing. He thinks that he can somehow win again. Like he I don't know how to even word this, but like my impression of him is that he thinks we're attacking him because like the way a narcissist perceives somebody pointing out what they've done that's bad. They see it as an attack, not an exposure. So like
Mm-hmm.
we are not trying to attack the fraud who calls himself Nithyananda. We are trying to warn other victims before they get abused in the way we've been abused by Nithyananda. Like this isn't an attack,
Yeah.
this is an exposure.
I seriously look at pictures of him and I just feel so like there's like anger, but it's like I feel freaking bad for the guy.
True.
Like I have a lot of compassion. Like he just doesn't get it.
Mm-mm.
Like I have deep compassion for his soul.
Yeah. Oh, he's
Like
screwed.
how long is it gonna take for him to experience the light again?
True.
To experience God, like actual, like real God. It's
Yeah.
who knows? Like that's my belief. He's put himself into such a bad place,
Yeah.
bad state.
Yeah. It's true. He might sit on a silver throne covered in gold-dipped rudrakshas with a handful of people who believe he's Shiva, who are willing to die for him, but he lives in a constant state of fear. He's constantly afraid that he will be brought to account for his crimes. And that itself is such a dark place, but adding to
Mm-hmm.
that, his narcissism, his delusions of grandeur, and the fact that he's so frail in his own sense of identity that unless people
Mm-hmm.
worship him, he doesn't feel like his existence has any merit to it. Like if all of this were to end tomorrow, if all of his victims were to decide to let him off the hook, if the rape case got dropped, if Interpol decided he's not worth pursuing, if everyone he has ever swindled money from decided they don't care, like if he was free to walk, what's he capable of doing? The only life he knows is the fraud guru life.
Yeah, that's all
Sad.
he knows.
Yeah.
He has no intention doing right.
No. That's the other thing.
He
No.
doesn't even think about doing right. He's not even wired or programmed to do right.
No. He's had ample opportunity. Um
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so the,
he's had a lot of time to like redeem himself too,
yeah.
if he wished to.
Yeah. Do you remember, Jordan? I don't think you were following him yet, but after Aarti Rao like pressed charges and the Ranjita video got leaked, there was a discourse he made, I think it was like 2010, right after he was released from prison, where he said that he consulted with some other Hindu leaders and they advised him that if he wants to have sex, he should just come out and be open about it. And if he wants to be like if he wants to pursue spirituality while also engaging in relationships, he made this video wearing white, not wearing orange. And
Mm.
shortly thereafter, he retracted everything he had said and decided to go like hardcore sannyasi and made videos like celibacy is the only way for seekers. And
Oh wow.
I see that as like a pivotal point in his guru career where he was advised by people who he considered confidants to just own up to it. Like, just admit what you've done.
Yeah.
The disciples who want to be with you will stay with you no matter
His
what.
ego saw that as being weak.
Exactly. He can never take advice. Like, what's the name of that guru who has the brand Patanjali, that skincare company?
Oh, I don't know, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I
probably
forget.
like every Indian person in the comments is going to say, "Oh, you're talking about blah 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 blah." Um,
Yeah,
but that
I forget.
yogi, it's like bugging me now. It's on the tip of my tongue.
I can see his face, but I don't have the name.
Yeah, the big beard, orange
No,
loincloth.
I don't
No,
have the name.
it'll
It's
come
right there too, on the tip of my tongue.
as soon as we end this video. We're both gonna remember it. But um, there was a day in the courtyard when Nithyananda was talking to a big group of us, and he said that he had a phone call with that guru, and
Oh wow.
um, he said that guy told him it's something yogi. Oh, that's bugging me.
Yeah. Ah,
Oh well.
whatever.
Um, Yeah. I lost my train of thought. Oh, he told us that he had a
He
phone.
got a call from.
Yeah. And he said that he told him, you're dumb to make sannyasis responsible for your business. Like, this other guru told him the way he built up the brand Patanjali was by hiring professionals to do the product design, to do the manufacturing, to do the distribution, and that's how he was able to sell it in the airports in India and in major stores and to really be successful. And so Niti, with like the massive like walking ego that he is, he told that guy, you don't know my power, you don't know that I'm Shiva, you don't know what my disciples are capable of. I will have 10 times the wealth of your Patanjali brand, and the whole thing will be done by my sannyasis. It's like as soon as that guy told him you should hire professionals, and to be fair, that was a really nice gesture of this Patanjali CEO Swami guru guy. Like, that was nice of him to say, like, hey, I see you've been trying to do a lot of stuff and your projects aren't working. Maybe instead of leaning on your sannyas sampradaya, get professional people. And like that's when Niti instructed me to develop a lifestyle brand and call it Hinduism Now, and to rip off the newspapers of Hinduism Today out of Hawaii, and to have a TV station. And he told me, like, become a Hindu Oprah, have 24 hours of content on the station, make a magazine, make a documentary. He did like exactly what the Patanjali guy told him not to do, which is dump a lot of really stressful corporate work on sannyasis who weren't
That's not even the role of sannyasis. Like they're strict on just spirituality
yeah
and enriching lives. They're not even supposed to go into business endeavors or anything like entrepreneurial, anything of the sort at all.
no
Like it's not even in their skill set.
yeah
Or like they leave it all behind and they're not even supposed to focus on that. So
his sannyasis are running a call center and they're calling it causing, and they're running social media channels and they're saying it's in the name of enriching. They're prostituting themselves and they're calling it being rudrakanyas. Like it's really sick.
they're supposed to be bedecked out in jewels and gold all the time. Oh, and a thing that I wanted to mention, I told you a while back, but Shivaratri, this one that just passed, I went to my friend's house to celebrate it. He's like a hardcore Shaivite to the core, like long dreadlocks. He wears orange all the time, and he did some background research on the cult that we were in, and he thought something was very funny when he went to my Instagram page and he saw the pictures of us in a group. I would be with groups of people, and we all were in uniform, same hair, the same dress, the same style, and everything. And he saw that. Wait, that's weird. He says, "That's not Mahadev." He says, "Mahadev's all of it." Like all of it, everyone is like different, and it's just everything is just encompassed in just Shiva, just so diverse. And then he says something about poops, like Shiva is like the one at the cremation grounds with just Bosma, you know, like no jewels or anything like that.
Yeah.
Shiva's all of that, but poops only portrayed one image of Shiva, just like the Sunadeshwara, just being rich and fancy.
Yeah.
But Shiva to the core is like super raw, doesn't care about the worldly life at all. But Shiva, Poops was the exact opposite.
Yeah, you're right. Your friend was right. Yeah. I think
it made so much sense.
Yeah.
Those that connect to Shiva and our Shaivites should be able to relate to that. Yeah. I did. Like it hit me like a wall of bricks. It's like, whoa, I never realized that before you said it.
I think he even says to Parvati, no, to Meenakshi, like you said, you were right, the Sundareshwara aspect of Shiva, when she wanted him to dress up for a wedding, and he said that he adorns himself with the things every human discards. He's not interested in the money or the gold or the jewels.
Mhm.
He, the ashes, the
Yeah.
basma, that's his one adornment, because it symbolizes that this body isn't
Yeah.
the identity. It's
Poops is not Shiva. Like even just saying Shiva, like I get this bolt of like real Shiva energy landing. It's like
yeah.
nah. Like Poops is the farthest thing from Shiva.
He's not
Farthest thing.
Ishvara, he's not Devi, he's not Shiva, he's
It's a
just
normal human being that developed this skill to be able to be a very great speaker and able to extract some good things in Hinduism, pervert it.
Mhm.
He's kind of like a Hitler, a
Yes,
little bit.
absolutely. He tries to create an ambiance where the people who believe in him have an us against them mentality towards everyone else in the world. He'll tell them other Hindus haven't earned the right to my space, to be in my energy field, and that's why they're not following.
Shiva accepts everyone.
Shiva, the real Shiva, accepts
And
everyone.
in the scriptures, the Shiva Bhaktas, they all look different.
Yeah.
They're all very different. We all look the same.
He made us
Like
all.
he wanted us,
Yeah.
everyone looking the same, like in uniform.
Yep. And then for some of us, like I remember one of the decisions I made when I first took Kavi was that I went barefaced. I decided, you know what, my life is for spirituality. I'm a renunciant now. I won't wear any more makeup, just basma and kumkum. And after 3 days of that, I got a call from Ranjita saying SM wants to know why you stopped wearing your makeup. And I was
Mm.
instructed to wear it again. And there was even a day that I had slept for like 2 hours. I had been up working 40 hours straight. I finally crashed. I got a call from Poops to go to the courtyard for like a briefing before going on stage to introduce him before satsang. And like as soon as I got the call, I jumped out of bed, took a really quick bath, put on a new, like a fresh, clean sari, and I ran to the courtyard. And he looked at me and said, "How dare you come in front of me undressed?" And like for a second, I panicked. And like I looked down to make sure that in my sleep
That you're
primer,
wearing clothes.
like, yeah, I'm not like, uh-oh. But yeah, like I was fully dressed, and he saw that I was confused by that. And he said, "I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about that." Like he wasn't talking about my body, he was talking about my face. And I said to him, like, "Swamiji, like I was sleeping, like this is my morning. I came running when I got the call." And he told me, "Without makeup on, you look sick and depressed. Like never show your face in
God.
front of me without a full makeup," as he'd say it. Like
Makeup.
yeah. And I mean, I'm a girly girl, so I enjoy makeup. I enjoy jewelry. Like, it's not like I hate wearing it. I love wearing it. But it really fucks with a person's mind if somebody he thinks is God tells her, "You look so terrible without it that it's an insult to me to come in front of me barefaced." What kind of spiritual leader is that? And like,
Mm-hmm.
that girl Lopamudra came up to me once, Janardana's eldest daughter, and she said, like, "Ma Swarupa Priya, please can you buy me some makeup, teach me how to wear it, and get me wax? I have to wax my body." And I told her, like, "Why do you have to wax? Like, your sari is down to your ankles. Nobody's ever going to see or know. Like, I'll give you some razors and some shaving cream if you want, but like, don't mess around with wax. You could hurt yourself." And she said, "No, ma, it's Guru Vak." Why would
Oh
she have
wow.
instructed a
The
17-year-old
Guru
girl
Vok.
to wax herself? Ugh. So it's just one of those things that we had so many red flags, but at the time I
Such
would
a
convince
pervert.
myself, like I remember Ma Pranapriya, after that meeting, remember Jordan when we had that one table in the Rajya Sabha where we'd like all meet before satsang and stuff? And I would
Yeah, yeah.
go up and like I would just do my makeup at that table so we could do like a social media meeting and I could multitask.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the
Yeah.
next day, like I automatically did that because that was my habit. And Ma Pranapriya saw me and she's like, "How dare you come into the Rajya Sabha without your makeup done first after what Swamiji told you yesterday.
That's so crazy.
It's so crazy. And I told her, like, I'm not on stage, I'm not on screen, I'm not in front of him. So what difference does it make whether I do my makeup in my room in A2 or here in the hall? And yeah, and she said, you should be so happy that he gave you that instruction. He's never given anybody else that instruction. That's for you. It's for your growth. It's for your
Things
spiritual.
were so messed up in the Adinam, how things would function. It
Yeah.
would never function properly, the day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And I read in the Murrian scrolls on how the Adinams in the ancient times would function, and it would just be effortless. Like Shiva would just express through everyone, and
Wow.
no instruction really had to be told.
Wow.
It would be told, but not as much as we were being told all these guru vox.
Yes.
And it's like, if this was a real Shiva incarnation that landed on planet Earth and he created this Adinam and his disciples, why weren't we able to like function things properly in the Adinam in such a smooth way, in a smooth manner? It'd
Exactly.
be chaos.
Right.
People would bump heads all day, fight.
Yeah.
Nothing would get done.
He would tell everyone, he would tell all the guys that the biggest obstacle towards enlightenment for somebody in a male body is lust. And then he would give instructions to Bhakti Priya to show as much skin as possible in her sari, like to wear the smallest little top and to have.
Yeah, he was fucking with us.
He was messing with everybody. Everybody. And like I feel like you've just set the tone for the next video to talk about all the fighting and how nothing would ever work. Like, remember a couple days ago we were talking about how
That
every
show thing?
team would just yell at each other all the time.
Oh yeah.
I think that's an important topic to get into, but we've been talking for like an hour and then some.
About 2 hours.
Yeah, we'll let people.
I mean, it's good because people there need to wake up,
Yeah.
and we need to prevent people from connecting to him
Yes.
to spare them the time,
Yeah.
save them from all of the hardships that we.
Jordan, the screen has frozen and I can't hear you again.
went through.
Oh, there you are. Yeah.
But yeah.
So we'll pick this up and we'll do another video to cover the rest.
Really? What about now?
Oh, there you are. There you are.
Can you hear me now? That's so weird. Why does this
There's
keep
a
happening?
delay too, because I said I can hear you now, and then like 30 seconds later you said really. Now
I don't know why that's happening.
It's weird.
He has good Wi-Fi here.
Yeah. And I have good Wi-Fi.
I don't understand.
No. I think the most of the video is good. Like wherever it glitched, I'll just cut that out from the upload.
Yeah.
I think we can pick this up in another video if you're up for it and talk about like the general ambiance and the relationships with people in that place and how we expected a spiritual community to function and get along versus how they actually operate. It's like a blast culture, not in a good way, not like we blast, but like we got blasted.
Yeah. That was an immediate red flag that we brushed aside.
Yep.
We just took it, like we just ate it. He knows. He just knows what's best for us. We just have to endure it because it's clearing karma and completions. He knows what's best, even if we can't logically understand. He knows it's okay. And his admin team that's blasting everyone, they are immediate extensions of him. So we just got to trust it.
Yeah. That's exactly.
But the feeling that I would get being in that ambiance of all of the yelling and blasting and beating, it was really off-putting. Was like I should have just trusted my gut in those moments.
Yeah.
Because it felt very off.
Well, you finally did, and you finally escaped, and you're standing up and sharing it so that other people, like you said, won't fall into that trap, or if they're in that trap, will get the reminder to trust their gut and to free themselves.
I'm just so thankful because I imagine what it could be happening to Adil and Drita
Mm-hmm.
and others of alike. It's like you might even be able to relate to this. I mean, like Poops hasn't even like when the age of Aquarius, when we transitioned into the age of Aquarius, December 21st, this past year, like I chime in on a lot of spiritual teachers here and there. Every single one talked about, they were celebrating the age of Aquarius. Like, oh, we're in this new energy. Oh my God, humanity is just gonna be elevated soon in like time to come, like stuff like that. You know,
Yeah.
like the Starseed culture was
Yeah.
really like celebrating it. A lot of spiritual teachers from various paths, but
Yeah.
Poops did not even talk about the age of Aquarius, on how we're in this age of Aquarius and new energy is here on planet Earth, and spiritual people could easily tap into it and go into 5D. The 3D chaos, you could just easily just rise above it and you could just exist in such an awesome space. Poops, I checked on his timeline on Facebook. He didn't mention anything of it,
He
but
probably,
yet he's celebrating Prince Philip.
yeah. He probably doesn't even
But
know.
Poops is a very dark entity, and he doesn't want his disciples to be aware of it. And it's so sad because it's like all of this good, amazing stuff is passing by these people, and they're like, it's like they're missing the boat,
They are
and time is ticking. It's like the longer they stay with him, they're just going to miss out on all of this amazing stuff,
on their
this
whole life.
amazing energy, these opportunities for them. It's
Yeah.
like if Drita wants to continue to support Poops and post about him, when he finally wakes up, it might be too late to start a yogic career.
Right.
Like he's probably not even making any money from it, or the amount that he wants to, because he has his guilt trip that he's taking Poops' teaching, monetizing it. He probably has that guilt.
That guy Tyler, who's Parantapa in the group, just made a whole video about how he's not able to manifest wealth. And he doesn't know what he's doing wrong. I'll tell him what he's doing wrong is that he's following Poops. He's following a cult leader. You can't manifest anything if you're busy manifesting the dreams of a criminal. Like, they need help out.
It's just like I've already told you all of this outside of this video, but a lot of my deep seeking questions that I had before the cult and in the cult, finally when I left, it's starting to get answered by spirit. You know, it's starting to get answered by Shiva. Like we channeled Shiva Shakti, and I saw how Shiva was creating all these galaxies and universes and dimensions, and I never had that experience before, even when I was in the cult, especially when I was in the cult. But these are the things that could happen to everyone. Like
Absolutely.
I can't even explain it in words. Like I'm experiencing amazing awakenings, downloads. That word download he used to always use. Like we're literally having these channeling experiences of our higher self.
Yes.
And what Poops does, he's cutting people off from accessing their higher self, their full soul.
No need for aushara, no so-called alchemy tools, like just two people
Don't need it.
talking, and suddenly I experienced like the pure blackness of Kali that I saw in a vision when I was 13 and haven't been able to get back into since. I never experienced that when I was with Poops for like 9 years, doing yoga, puja, satsang every day, and I still didn't get anything like that. So when we decided to go into ourselves and just make a connection and start channeling that energy and experiencing, we didn't even set out to connect with Shiva and Shakti. We just thought, let's see what happens. And that happened. And I think what all of them joined the cult because they wanted, it's available, like it's ready to reveal itself. But first they have to free themselves from his clutches, because like you said, he's not giving the experience, he's preventing it to keep them focused on him, Like, as long as he sets him up that like his form is going to be the link to all that, they'll be so stuck on his form they'll never be able to see it.
Forever.
They have to drop it.
Enlightenment can't be given to you from some outside force.
Yeah,
It can't be given. Enlightenment can't be given to you from somebody.
exactly. Even
And
when
like a real guru should raise you to the point where you don't need him anymore. A counselor, a spiritual teacher should not want you to keep coming back.
no.
It's to let you go. Oh, you don't need me anymore. You're so evolved to the point where you don't need to rely on anyone. You don't need to have a teacher anymore.
Yeah.
Croops
So
is doing the exact opposite.
he will keep them dependent forever, because the truth is he is dependent on them. It's not that they haven't outgrown him yet, they have, but he still is dependent on those people, so he will never let them go. He's the demon claiming to be Shiva.
Oh my God, it's like I could feel what the current disciples are going through, because I've been there, but it's like I could just feel this kind of like state of mind they're in, and it's just so sad.
Yeah,
It's really so sad. Like all of the amazing opportunities, all the doors that's just like wide open for them, and they're just stuck in this little paradigm. It's just
so
like, oh
our
my
next
God, it
video,
just makes me so grateful we're out.
me too. And our next video, let's pick it up on that note of the spirituality trap that they're in, and the joy and the excitement of connecting with the deities and with the universe and with the star seeds and with everything and everyone.
Oh my God, right? Like
Yeah.
how many star seeds are trapped there? Drita maybe, but
Tarant, I think
Adam,
for sure.
Jillian,
Adam Jones,
Parantapa.
yeah, I think he's something special. I think everyone who is a hardcore devotee of Nithyananda is a spiritually
They
powerful
got trapped.
divine being, and they got trapped. They fell for that trap, but there's so much more available for them. But anyway,
Yeah, so much available.
I wish I could talk for the rest of the night, but I have to run because my
Okay.
post office closes in half an hour and I've got to get my Etsy orders there.
Okay.
But let's pick
This was
this up
fun.
again. Totally. For
I
everyone,
feel like I just started to get into it.
I know. You know what? We can pick up even when I get back from the post office. We can start filming. I'll probably be back.
I need to get started on some tasks as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll set a date and then we'll pick this up again when we can.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to another channeling too with
Yes,
you.
me too.
I want to do that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Tomorrow, I don't know when you're free. I don't know about maybe, but I want to do it soon for sure.
Tomorrow my day is pretty
Yeah.
much open because there's no post office, so I don't have any Etsy drop-offs. Here, I'll just end
Okay.
recording, then we can.
Oh,
For everyone who
that's
watched
great.
the video till now, just thank you for sticking with us for this long conversation. We covered so many different topics, but I feel like I can speak for you too, Jordan, in saying that we're here for you. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them below. We'll be happy to answer. If there's anything you want clarity about for us to get into in our next video together, we will add that. Anything you want to say to the viewers as we sign off?
Your spiritual path doesn't end leaving the cult. It truly begins a new chapter.
Perfect.
Unfolding your true path of evolution. The first step is to wake up and leave the demonic cult of Nithyananda.
Perfect. We'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.